You've been working hard your entire career, getting things done, solving problems, delivering results, and somehow you're still in the same place. Congratulations, your dedication has been noted, filed, and absolutely nothing has been done about it. You know the person I'm talking about. Spoiler, it's you. You show up early, you stay late. When someone doesn't know how to do something, they come to you, because apparently you also provide free consulting now. When a project is falling apart at the seams, your name is the one that gets called. Not because you volunteered, but because everyone already knows you'll say yes. You are reliable. You are skilled. You are by every measurable standard good at your job, and you've been told that matters. You were told in school, by your parents, by every motivational poster stapled to a break room wall, that performance equals reward. That if you just keep producing, keep improving, keep being the person who holds everything together while everyone else figures out what synergy means in the all hands meeting, the system will recognize you, promote you, compensate you. So you kept going. You got better. You became excellent. And then you looked up one day and noticed something strange. The person above you, mediocre at best. The person above them couldn't do your job if you wrote them a step by step guide and held their hand through it. But there they are, above you, with a title that has the word senior or head or chief in it, probably expensing lunches you're paying for with your own money. And the question you haven't let yourself say out loud is, how? Here's what no one tells you. Being good at your job is not the path to advancement. In most organizations, it is the obstacle to it. I know. Rude. Not because excellence isn't valued, but because of where that value goes. When you are exceptional at a task, the system doesn't think we should elevate this person. The system thinks we cannot afford to move this person. And the walls are made entirely of your own competence. You built the cage, you furnished it, you even decorated it. And every quarter, they give you a little performance rating that basically says, nice cage, please stay in it. To understand what's actually happening, you need to stop thinking about your company as a meritocracy. I'll give you a moment to laugh at that word, meritocracy. Okay, moving on. Start thinking about your company as an ecosystem instead, because ecosystems don't reward the best performer, they reward the best fit. And most corporate structures are not designed to push the most competent people upward. They are designed to maintain stability, to keep output consistent, to reduce risk, to make sure Dave from finance doesn't have a meltdown because the one person who actually understands the spreadsheet got moved to another department. You, being excellent at your specific role, are a stabilizing force. You are load bearing, and load bearing things don't get moved, they get appreciated in the form of a LinkedIn comment from your manager. During Employee Appreciation Week in March, now think about who actually does get promoted. Look carefully, really look. They're usually not the best at execution, they're the best at visibility. They are the people whose presence is felt in rooms you haven't been invited into yet. They speak in meetings where nothing gets decided but everyone leaves feeling like something happened. They use words like bandwidth and circle back and let's take this offline. And somehow, inexplicably, people respect them for it. You've been producing. They've been performing a different kind of work entirely. The work of being seen. Here's the psychological mechanic underneath all of this. Your manager has a problem. That problem is output. You solve their output problem completely. So, from their perspective, the best version of their professional life is one where you stay exactly where you are, doing exactly what you do, until one of you retires. Your advancement is not their incentive, your stability is. They don't have to be evil for this to be true. Most of them aren't. They're just people protecting their own metrics. And your promotion is not in their metrics. Your performance is. Which means structurally, and this is the part that should make you put down your coffee, your manager's interests and your interests are not aligned. They need you to stay good at your job. You need to grow past it. One of you is winning. It isn't the one reading this. So, what happens if you just keep going the way you're going? You get better, more indispensable, more deeply embedded in a function that now cannot operate without you, harder to replace, which sounds like leverage. It is not leverage, because leverage requires options. And the more irreplaceable you become in one specific place, the fewer options you actually have anywhere else. The ceiling doesn't get higher, it gets lower, because more of the structure now rests on your shoulders, which are tired, by the way, from carrying all of this. 3 years pass, then 5, then a decade, and somewhere in there, your identity quietly fuses with your job title. You stop being a person with ambitions and a career arc. You become a function, a resource, a proper noun that people use as a verb, just as your name it. That sentence, which once felt like recognition, is now just a polite way of saying, You're the only one who knows how to do this, and we'd like to keep it that way. Thank you. And the truly uncomfortable part? You helped build this situation, brick by brick. Every time you said yes when you should have said, whose job is this, actually? Every time you solved the problem no one else could, and then watched no one else have to learn how. Every time you delivered when it mattered most and thought, surely this time they'll notice. They noticed. They just filed it under, don't break what's working. Meanwhile, someone who joined after you, someone who once asked you how to attach a file to an email, is now in a leadership role. Not because they outperformed you, but because they were never so essential to execution that anyone panicked at the thought of moving them. They stayed replaceable on purpose. You made yourself irreplaceable by accident. And here's the brutal distinction no one frames correctly. Irreplaceable is not the same as valuable. It just means you're expensive to lose and cheap to keep. Congratulations on that, by the way. Here's the concept that's going to ruin your next performance review in the best possible way. There are two games running simultaneously at every company. The first game is performance, the second game is narrative. Performance is what you do, narrative is what people believe about what you do, and, more importantly, what they believe you could do next. Most high performers are obsessed with the first game. They think if they just execute better, harder, faster, the narrative writes itself. It does not. Narrative is not a byproduct of performance. Narrative is constructed, maintained, and strategically placed into the minds of people who make decisions. It requires an entirely different skill set that has nothing to do with your actual job. And no one teaches it to you because the people who figured it out would prefer you didn't know. The people moving upward aren't performing better than you. They are narrating better. They're in conversations you didn't know were happening. They're visible on problems that feel important even when they aren't. They are associated with the idea of strategy rather than the reality of execution. And here is the gap that will make you stare at the ceiling tonight. Strategic work is almost always less technically difficult than functional work. It requires less skill, less precision, less actual knowledge, but it sits closer to power, so the organization treats it as more valuable. You've been playing a game of skill, a beautiful, demanding, impressive game of skill. The advancement game is a game of proximity, proximity to budgets, to decisions, to people whose opinions about you have consequences. And skill, without proximity, is just well compensated invisibility. This is the part where you have to be honest with yourself. What have you actually been optimizing for? If you look at the last few years, where did the energy go? Into getting sharper at the work? Or into understanding the landscape of power around you? If your answer is I've been perfecting my craft, that's admirable. It's also, professionally speaking, a little tragic. Because here's what that choice produces over time. You become exceptional at something. The organization becomes dependent on that thing. You start to confuse being needed with having power. They are not the same thing. Being needed without the ability to walk away, without visibility beyond your immediate team, without a story that exists above your manager's manager, is not power. That's just dependency with good performance reviews attached to it. You have been calling it expertise. The system has been calling it affordable and contained. You thought you were building a career. You were building job security for everyone around you. That's the realization, not that you should stop being excellent, but that you've spent years mastering execution while wondering why execution doesn't take you where strategy lives. You've been answering every question perfectly. You just haven't been in the room where the questions get decided. So what actually works? Not performing worse, though honestly, you could probably dial it back 20%, and no one would notice for at least 6 months. That's a separate conversation. The shift is in what you make visible, and to whom. The work that keeps you stuck is the work only your immediate circle ever sees. The work that moves you is the work that travels, that touches decisions above your level, that shows up in conversations you weren't in, that makes someone 2 floors up say your name in a context that isn't about fixing a problem they caused. You don't need to stop being excellent. You need to be excellent at things that are witnessed by the people who decide things. There's also a simpler, harder shift. You need to occasionally be the kind of person who could leave, not threaten to leave, not announce it dramatically in a team meeting. Just quietly, visibly, be someone with options. Someone who is choosing to be here rather than unable to imagine being anywhere else. The moment an organization senses that you are genuinely mobile, the dynamic shifts without a single word being exchanged. Not because you've become more skilled, but because scarcity changes how things get priced. Constant availability reads as low cost, and the system, which is not sentimental, prices you accordingly. Here's the truth you're going to keep turning over. The system didn't fail you. You played by rules that were never designed to take you where you actually wanted to go. You just weren't told that part, probably because you were too busy delivering the Q3 report. You thought the game was about being good. It was about being seen. You thought the reward was for doing the most. It was for standing near the decisions. You thought irreplaceable meant powerful. It meant affordable. And the most unsettling part isn't that this is unfair. It's that it's completely, boringly logical. Organizations are not moral structures. They are not looking out for you. They are systems. And systems optimize for their own continuity, not your growth, not your ambitions, not the fact that you have been early to every meeting for 4 years while Gary saunters in 8 minutes late and somehow still got continuity perfectly. You should be proud. They certainly are. So the question was never whether you're good enough. You've always been good enough. The question is whether you've been good at the right game. And if you're still in the same role after years of delivering, you already know the answer. The problem was never your performance. It was that you mastered a game that was never going to pay out the way you thought, and you kept playing it with full effort every single day. Stop being good at your job. Start being known for what you're becoming. Those are not the same pursuit. And confusing them is how careers disappear quietly, not with a firing, not with a failure, but with a very sincere thank you note and a cake from the break room on your last day.